Hello, and thank you for taking the time to watch my presentation. And I'm going to focus mine strictly on negotiations. This assignment, this class, could not have come with more perfect timing. Currently on the negotiation team for the Riverside Sheriff's Association Law Enforcement Bargaining Unit. And for about the last year, we've been entrenched in our current rounds of bargaining for a new contract with the county. Our last MOU expired in 2016, and then in 2017 the county imposed on us, so we've been working under an imposition this whole time, or since that time. So hopefully we're able to move forward and get a new contract and MOU in place, and I hope to see some of these concepts that we're learning be able to come into play and be useful for me. So first up, I noted it on page 45 of our textbook. Keltner gives what I would say is an idealistic description of negotiation, in that it's a peaceful procedure to reach an agreement. And just like Keltner's book that the textbook refers to, mediation toward a civilized system of dispute resolution, Keltner explains the usefulness of a neutral third party or mediation. Sounds good. My experience so far over the last year of negotiations, I've yet to experience this. We've had many, many meetings, and unfortunately, they haven't gone as nicely as I would like to think that they could go. And I would like to learn as much as I can to help try and guide or steer the whole process more towards a integrative approach, as opposed to the distributive approach that they seem to have been stuck on for quite a while. Next up, I'd like to discuss RAFA. In the textbook on pages 51 and 52, there's a great breakdown of several of the issues that RAFA discusses that can affect negotiations. Again, keeping with the theme of my presentation in particular and my experience in particular, focus a little more on the negatives. The negative issues or things that could happen. Specifically, he talks about unprofessional communication, not only that it sabotages negotiations, but it also affects long-term relationships. And it's much more pronounced if there's already a history of bad relationships. In Rafa's book, The Art and Science of Negotiation, it was interesting to me to see that his approach to negotiation disputes came from a base of mathematics and game theory. I honestly, I did not read the entire book, but I found the whole idea of thinking outside the box in that way, a completely different field of study, that at first glance to me did not seem to be related in any way, shape, or form. I see a lot of our theorists come from psychology or sociology. They come from other fields, but they're fields that are easily relatable or overlapping. But again, is his example that is discussed here of the history of bad relationships and unprofessional communication. Again, this is what I see week in, week out, month in, month out in these contract negotiation meetings. When I first came on board to the negotiation team, there had already been a long history of a bad relationship between the county and RSA that began quite some time ago, and it just seems to have grown worse with time, which is really in line with what I'm reading from Rafa and the text as a whole. If you're going to go down that route, not being integrated but more distributive, everybody's in it for themselves and get stuck on their own position. Flip the slide a little too quickly, but page 46 of our text, show Fisher and Urey give us the 3 reasons for mutual gains approach, or 3 good reasons for a mutual gains approach or integrative negotiations. We see that really all 3 of their reasons all imply that the distributive negotiation revolves more around arguing over positions, which, as they point out, lead to bad or unwise agreements, inefficiency, and damaged future relationships, kind of going back again to what Rafa was talking about. in their Uri or Fisher and Uri's book, Getting to Yes, they show that these principles really occur in all settings in our everyday life, which I really, once I read it, I reflected back and I think, you know what, I can't find a solid argument or any kind of argument to say that they're wrong. The examples that they show from how every interaction you have in your life can be looked at, with another person can be looked at as either you're going to be negative or positive. There's going to be some way you're either going to work with this person. It may not even be a dispute. It could be a simple decision, really anything. But it can be a positive interaction or a negative interaction. You need to work with each other or against each other, fight or argue, which really leads me to the last concept that I wanted to cover in this presentation. That is Michelin on page 54 of the text, talking about, well, really what he's talking about is whatever attitude you have going into the situation is exactly what is going to come from it. Meaning if you go into, or he backs it with research, that if you go into an interaction with positive attitude, it's going to produce higher level of cooperation between the two sides. Same research he shows in his book, the negotiations, I'm sorry, his book, The Effects of Prior Interaction, Contact Strategy, and Expectations of Meeting on Game Behavior and Sentiment. And again, I apologize, it's not a book. It is an article that he wrote for a journal, or that's published in a journal. Whatever attitude you have going in is, again, exactly what you are going to get coming out. The research was also showing if you're negative going into it, it's only going to produce negative results, or no results, or stalemate, impasse. Again, for me personally, it seems to be true in every experience that I've had over this last year of negotiations. I'm trying to work real hard to find ways to build these relationships and build trust that has eroded over the last 3+ years, that is making this a very difficult process that seems to really be getting nowhere very quickly. It's just a long, drawn-out process. But again, hopefully I can help to bring in new elements, new attitudes, new thoughts to the process, and hopefully it can start with one person, start with one spark, and hopefully we can get something done and start moving forward. Thank you for listening to me ramble a little bit and talk about my thoughts and my experiences in this setting, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.